Well, welcome, everybody. I'm so pleased that you've joined us from all over the United States to hear Sandee McDuffie. I've known Sandee for about 4 years now. And as I was telling some of you guys earlier on a meeting, I talked to 12 or 15 agents because I was interviewing for a manager position. And of those 12 or 15 agents that I interviewed for probably an hour each, only one has kept in touch. Sandee McDuffie. Now that always impresses the heck out of me, is when somebody puts me on their distribution list, because they don't know, when I'm going to have a referral to them. So anyway, I've been so impressed, and I've watched what Sandee's done. And of course, I'm on her distribution list, so I get all that stuff. And I was thinking about how we can make more money easier and have a much better real estate life. And that always seems to me to come through relationships. And I know that several of you have relationships with Sandee and vice versa. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So last year, I asked Sandee to be my guest on a podcast, and it was so inspiring and practical. I wanted to do it again. So let me introduce you quickly to Sandee, but I know she's got more than this because I've seen some more honors she's gotten. So here's what she's told me. Sandee was a professional singer for 25 years, and you'll see some of her showbiz know-how and creativity comes out in the things that she's going to tell you. And she traveled around the world performing. In 2004, she found herself in the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, and she planted roots. So she's a real person in Las Vegas, which we never think about, right? 9 years later, as a single mom and ready for a new challenge, she embarked on a career in real estate and never looked back. And I talked to her former manager today, and he said that Sandee established herself this way as a top producer in real estate in just 2 years. So this doesn't take very long if you do what Sandee is going to help you with. In her real estate career, she's fortunate to bring all my passions into my work and live in my team's mission statement to positively influence the growth and quality of life of our families, communities, and clients. In my free time, I enjoy giving back to the growing community of Las Vegas and Henderson. I love hiking with my boys, yoga, and exploring the wide range of fine dining experiences available in the area. So, Sandee, welcome. I'm so happy you're with us. You know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the speaker view. Now, there you are, much better view, so that we have the view of just you talking to us. That's awesome. So Sandee, before we launch into the questions, is there anything you'd like to add to your bio that wasn't there?
No, I don't think so. Other than I think when you interviewed me all those years ago about that manager position, I do remember that I asked you if you knew anybody in the Las Vegas area that was looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate.
Absolutely, that's right.
And could I stay in touch? So I mean, that's what it's about.
Absolutely, yes. And I always get amazed when agents go, I really don't want to ask. I don't want to, and I don't know they realize it, but I judge people that way. I mean, basically, if I'm in the profession, I'm expected to ask. That's part of my profession. It's like I'm a performer, I'm a musician, I'm a pianist and flutist. Well, not for 6 weeks, but I know that if you come to hear me play, you expect me to play. And the same is true with real estate. Is we have certain principles that we're supposed to follow. And one of those principles is ask or you'll never find out. And Sandee proved that to me, and that's one of the reasons I was so impressed. So Sandee, let's jump in. How did you start creating a referral business? Because you were new a few years ago.
Well, it's more than a few now, but I was introduced to the Buffini systems and models, and which is very much the calls, notes, and the pop buys.
Mhm.
And so I'm very coachable in that if you tell me what to do, I will just go and do it.
Mhm.
And I knew nothing about real estate. So I had a great mentor that introduced me to the Buffini model. And I just did that, slow and steady, and slow and steady wins the race. So that's what I was, just very, very consistent in what I did.
Mhm. Oh, okay. All right. So you started that basically from the beginning. Now there might be, I know there are a couple of agents here that I know that are pretty darn new. So a lot of times we assume that you can only do this when you're real experienced and you got this big backlog of clients. Well, you didn't have those backlogs. So how did you start? I mean, give the advice to the people who are pretty darn new.
I mean, I started by, figuring out who I did know, putting those into a database,
Mhm.
which, I was a singing gondolier at the Venetian. So everybody I knew made $15 an hour plus tips. They weren't really home buyers. So I did open houses to add people to my database. I door knocked. I didn't like doing things like, I tried everything. I mean, I tried calling FISBOs and expires. I tried all the things to see what I did like.
Mhm.
And then what I liked the most was getting into relationship with people. So open houses were good for me in having that face to face when I
Mhm.
was brand new.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's a big point. I was reading this morning an article about a coach. I really liked a lot of what that coach said, is that one of the things we need to do as coaches is to help people find what they're good at, because a lot of times um, we're good at things, but we don't translate them into real estate. I mean, as a musician, I can, my gosh, I was a musician. If they said write a business plan, I'm like, I do a what? I can kind of write a Brahms sonata, but I can't write a business plan, And so a lot of this, I didn't get how to transfer those talents and skills. So one of the things we do in our office is we have a little class in writing your biography. And the idea is not just to write the biography, but the idea is to draw those talents and skills that you're really good at into real estate. Now, why are they benefits to buyers and sellers? So in that vein, Sandee, what did you find in your background as a singer and traveling all over the world that was that you could apply to real estate success?
It's about connecting with people, and when you're performing, you're connecting with an audience. You want to give them an experience, and I think that's something that I brought into my real estate business, is making it a great experience for them. And that's something, honestly, that's evolved. That's not something I mean, I think when I started out, I just wanted food with my meals. And then as my business grew, it's like, how can we create an experience that people want to come back to, and that we stay top of mind, and we stay involved in relationship with those people, so that they have a good time and they want to use our services again. So during a transaction, we have like an experience program where we have like the surprise and delight program, and we kind of gift and surprise them along the way. And then after the transaction, it's about staying in touch through client events, and just staying ingrained in the community and inviting people to come and do things like that with us. So we have a couple of things going on right now. We have a 12 days of giveaways that we're doing for our VIP group, which is just a fun thing. And then we have a Facebook group, community Facebook group, that we're inviting people to help us sponsor some less fortunate families in the community. So I would say it's about experiences and relationships and bringing people on that journey with you. That's what being an entertainer is.
Mhm.
And you can do that in the real estate world too.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. I love that idea. And almost anybody can do it unless you truly just hate people.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are plenty of successful transactional agents. That's just not
Yeah.
that's not what makes me happy. And
Sure.
I want to be happy doing what I do and enjoy doing what I do. And yeah, I know plenty of people that don't like people in it.
Yeah, but
And
you're
so
right. There
real
are
estate.
transactional agents and they can do well. The difference to me is when you form these relationships with people, they never leave you and you become invaluable. You really can't, they say, well, what do I charge? Well, actually, it doesn't matter. I should be invaluable. If I'm in a relationship with you and you know that I have your best interest at heart, I'm invaluable. And
Yeah,
transactional agents can't
I
access that way.
yeah, I don't have conversations in my appointments. Yes, I can elaborate. I don't have conversations with my clients really about commission. It's not really a conversation.
Mhm.
Because if you said that, would you like me to answer? There is a question in the chat box. Can I
I
elaborate
saw that and
more?
I was thinking the same thing, you guys. I thought she said surprises. Now it's going to go back. Yeah, tell us about the surprises.
It's
That's
something
fascinating.
so briefly, Sandhall introduced that from Keller Williams, from the Keller Williams luxury division. So I'm part of that division. But we kind of brought it down to a more, I mean, I'm not selling, million plus houses every week. Sometimes, a lot of times, I'm just selling average price point homes. So what does that look like? How can we just give these little extra touches that just are like, oh, that makes it special? So they're very small, tangible things. It's like when we get an accepted offer, we send them a Starbucks card through email. And we just say, hey, congratulations, your offer was accepted. Drinks are on us. We'd like to send alcohol, but not everybody drinks that way. So drinks are on us. After due diligence, we send packing labels to buyers and sellers on both sides. Sellers, when we take the pictures, so the first touch for a seller would be that we would send flowers, and then they have the flowers in the picture. Thank you for trusting us. And then what other touches do we have? When we have clear to close, we send a $25 Home Depot card. So if they're selling or buying, they're moving somewhere, right, where they're going to need something. Home Depot sells a lot of things, even if it's just cleaning supplies. And then we have a closing gift, which I gift Cutco. But the best received thing is always those packing labels, which cost us about $15 on Amazon. So once we are once we pass due diligence and we know that things are moving forward, we send the packing labels and say, okay, it's time to get packing. I think Sue's trying to ask something here, but I just keep seeing like crosses and things.
Yeah, it's not.
That was my tablet.
Did you just want to unmute yourself maybe and ask your question?
Yeah. Go ahead and ask Sue.
I don't have a question.
Okay. Oh, she was just. Hey, okay.
I was just making notes.
Got one hand. Come on, Sue.
Oh,
that's the stuff my computer was doing.
That's hilarious. So did I answer the surprise and delight question? I think I did for Kristen.
What's fascinating about this is most of the time we go into these transactions, we all anticipate problems. And usually what we end up doing is trying to solve the problem. But on the other side, and this is one of my favorite sayings, behavior that's rewarded is repeated. So what Sandee's doing is rewarding good things that have happened and pointing them out. And that's so strong. I mean, that's just, again, we do what we're acknowledged for it. Now that can be even bad. I mean, if you've had a bad transaction, a person, and no matter what goes on, they scream at you, they're getting they're used to causing trauma and getting reaction. But what Sandee's doing is the opposite, is rewarding that moving forward and not taking it for granted. One thing I love about what Sandee does too is, you guys, none of this costs very much money. Isn't that cool?
No, and you know, I mean, you can scale that up or down according to what your budget is. It's not about how much you give, it's just about the giving and the experience of it. And then of course those are the major transaction points, and that's when you're asking for your referrals. Hey, I'm just calling to make sure that you got the packing labels. You know, are you excited? We're so excited that we passed due diligence. Oh, by the way, is there anybody else in your world that might be thinking of buying us on the home? So you can tell them what a great experience you're having with us. Would you pass my name on?
That's excellent. Yeah. We always ask for referrals when people are happy with us. So
Right.
anytime they're happy, a lot of times we don't ask until after closing, but again, they're thinking of the next thing then. So anytime they're happy at any point, yes, ask, because it's normal then to do that. It's
Right.
almost expected. Yeah. So Sandee, last year you were talking to us about what you did for people around the holidays. And since we're getting close to the holidays, I would love to have you tell this group, because it's very creative. It's really cool. And I'd like that this year, please.
It's fun. It's fun. It's a lot. You know, I would say that this time of year, a lot of agents have already checked out. But honestly, this is just exhausting for us this time of year, because this is really when we ramp it up. So, we have a private Facebook group, McDuffie Group VIPs, for all of our past clients. In that group, we do the 12 days of giveaways. And all of these gifts, 90% of the gifts are sponsored. So by our lender partners, home inspection, handyman, whatever in our world. And then we do like the spinning wheel. They get to enter. We have questions. Last year we did actually quizzes that they could look up. This time I made things like really vague that were personal about me, like, do you know how many dogs I have? Do you know the ages of my children? And then, so that's what's going on in our Facebook group. And then we deliver pop buys to our A and A+ clients. It is a really easy touch, and I'm going to share this one with you because this is something you need to do when the wrapping paper goes on sale at Walmart.
I love this.
You can pick it up for 25 cents a roll, and those big bags of bows and all the gift bags. And so right now I'm put my little elf hat on. I delivered 7 pop buys this morning. It took me like a couple of hours. I deliver a roll of wrapping paper and a gift bag that's stuffed full of bows and gift tags. Sometimes I put sticky tape in there. It has a little tag on it that says, thank you for helping us wrap up a great year. And then if they're home, then I said, hey, I just wanted to get you started on the wrapping paper, and thank you for being in our world. And if they're not home, I take a picture of it. I send them a little text. Thank you. Your little realtor elf stopped by to help you get started on the Christmas wrapping. And that's it. And that's it. But I buy all that. I'll be buying all that after Christmas when I get it for like next to nothing. I walk out of Walmart with like a trolley piled high of wrapping paper, and I have to store it all year round. And it's a lot of work to put it all together, but it's such a simple gift. And it's always like, it's like the simplest things are sometimes the best. It's like the packing labels after due diligence. It's like, oh my gosh, thank you. That the amount of times people have gone like, oh my gosh, you just saved me because I ran out of wrapping paper. And then I stick my like the address label across the paper as well. So that even when they peel off the paper, they're seeing my name.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that last year when you said it. It never would have occurred to me, but it's something that we all have to do, isn't it? And a lot of times we'll go, oh God, I got to go get this paper for next year, whatever. But if you're Sandee's client, you don't have to, because she's gonna do it for you. And
It's
Sandee,
super cheap as well.
I was
I mean,
going to ask you,
yeah, if you do it now, it's super cheap. I mean, really, you can put that together for, maybe $1.50 per person,
Mhm.
and it really gives them something substantial.
Yes, yeah. And another thing I love about this too is that these are things that show that Sandee cares more than the commission. I read a study a few years ago that said only a third of the agents who sell somebody a home ever come back.
Oh, that's terrible.
They never even come back. So what does the public think? We took around here, our commissions are $15,000 to $20,000 a unit. Okay.
Yeah.
So we took the 15,000 and ran. That's what 67% of our clientele think when we don't bother to go back. And I'm just talking about going back after closing, not all these things you do.
Yeah.
So we could actually change what people think of the industry if we realized the worth of a client. And I don't just mean monetarily, I mean how they treat us, and that they give us these wonderful referrals, and they, Sandee, I want you to work with Sandee, and you just do whatever she tells you.
Yeah. I'm just going to plug in. Wait, I'm done. I'm listening, but I need to plug in.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So we'll get her back in just a second. So do you guys have any questions for Sandee right now that you'd like to put in the chat? And when she gets back, we can take a look.
I'm here.
You what?
I'm here. I'm back.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions right now? Okay, let's go on.
I stunned them into silence.
Well, Sandee, actually, I'd like to ask people to just put this in the chat just for the heck of it. What percent of agents, you guys who are here today, what percent of agents do you think do anything for their clients past bringing them a gift at closing? Anything other than that? What percent of agents do? And I know this is a guess. I'm just interested in what you're thinking about the industry. So just put it in the chat. What percent do you think? Let's just see. 70%? Oh, yeah, 20, 30, 15. Yeah. Well, from what that survey of several years ago said was that 2/3 of them never even go back after closing.
Wow.
So I kind of bet that we're under the 30% range. And that's also because there's lots of new agents that probably don't get to it, or there's lots of people that don't do very much. And so if they're doing 2 or 3 transactions a year, they're like, oh, what do I care? So I think that's how we leave out a lot of consumers, and we hurt ourselves as an industry. So Sandee, tell us more about the other things. We've heard about Christmas. We've heard about the surprises. What other kinds of things do you do to keep in touch and get referrals from your clients?
We just did a gratitude gathering for Thanksgiving. That's our pie party. So that's our big event of the year. So everybody gets a Costco pie. I will answer that question, Sue. Everybody gets a pie, and I'm excited because this year we actually got to have a physical party. For the past 2 years, we've had to sling pie into people's cars as they drove by. So it was nice to finally get belly to belly with people. We had a taco guy there, so we did tacos and pies, and we had live music.
Cool.
And that we call our gratitude gathering. With that one, if they whip us up a referral, they get a can of whipped cream to go with the pie. My 15-year-old son dresses up as a turkey, and we take turkey pictures.
Awesome.
So that's kind of fun. And we've done various other, our office is really good at we do a spring fling. We do a trunk or treat. So we piggyback off some of those events. This year in April, May, we're planning a shredding event. I don't really know what that looks like yet because it will be our first one. But I did get a playbook from another agent. And we always, share our playbook. So I'll just add, if anybody does want to get on our mailing list for agents of things that we send out, and, referral partners, just you can connect us, or I can put my information in the chat. They can reach out to me. So I got a playbook for another agent. We're planning a shredding party this year. We try and get as much sponsored as we can as well, so it's not always us just coming out of pocket.
Oh, okay. All right. And I think we had a question in the chat.
We have a couple of questions. For those clients who have moved out of state, do you stay in contact as much as with your local clients? That's a good question, because if they've moved, they can still know people that live, where they've moved from. So the answer is yes. Everybody gets a call once a quarter. Those clients, I think we have our clients as A, Bs, A pluses, A's, B's, and C's. They become a B client, so they'll get a phone call once a quarter, and they'll still get notes. And instead of like delivering physical pop buys, I'll put something in there. We have little flat sponges that we give as gifts, just little inspirational quotes. But yeah, we stay in touch through email, email notes, and yeah, they still get a call from us, because there's plenty of our clients that live out of state that are like, hey, I have a friend who's moving there. You never know.
Yeah.
And then what was the other question? The question about the 12 days. Have you systematized, that's a hard word. Have you systematized both the selling process? I don't understand the question. Both the selling process and the Christmas season, 12 days of holidays, and if so, I don't. Clark, maybe you can unmute because I don't quite understand the question. Is that okay, Carla? He unmutes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm asking my question. Do you have sort of a list or timetable of which you say this is what happens at that time during the selling process? Because you mentioned the tags that you send and things like that, and then you also have the 12 days of Christmas thing. What do you have that systematized so on a list that gives you an agenda to follow?
The pop buys go out once a quarter, and I do a marketing calendar at the beginning of the year. So yes, we know when those pop buys are going to be. The delivery dates are on my calendar. They might move, but yes, that is systematized. The 12 days of Christmas, we start I have a full-time assistant, Kara. So every 6 weeks we have a marketing meeting. So our next marketing meeting will be what we're going to be doing. We're already into February now. So we've already got January mapped out. So the 12 days of giveaways, we started planning back in November. And then, we just come up with a plan around that. The 12 days of giveaways is really just for fun, engagement, just providing more to the people who are already in our database. We're not really pushing hard on referrals for that. We're just pushing to stay top of mind and be in the world. Because that makes it a whole lot easier when we've given out all these gifts at Christmas to call January 1 and be, hey, Happy New Year. These are my real estate goals. Hope you enjoyed the 12 days of giveaways. You're going to have to wait until we do that again. But who do you know that I can help in this season, in the new year.
Mhm.
I think if it's reciprocal, it's much easier to ask when you're giving
Absolutely.
so
Yeah,
much.
absolutely. Yeah. I always wonder when people are just asking out of the blue. To me, it's kind of like cringy. It's like, I can see why people don't want to do that, because it's, I want this from you. But when you're giving somebody, it's just a gracious give and take then.
Yeah.
It's kind of natural to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're having fun. They're really having fun with it. It's, everyone's engaged, everyone's having fun. We're having fun with it. They get to come and pick up their things. So they actually come to see me. I don't have to go to see them. So that's a good one.
And people, when you throw any kind of a party, people are always on their best behavior. I got to go to, there's a great agent in Bellevue, and I got to go to her client appreciation lunch, and that was last summer, and it was 100 and some degrees that day. Oh my gosh, which here, I mean, for you guys is nothing. For us, it's like we die, right? So we're all out of this park. But I mean, there were over 100 people, probably 125, 150 people, and they're having the best time in 100-degree plus weather, and she's
Right.
just like right in there in the middle of it. And it was so impressive. But everybody, not only on their best behavior, but the people are talking about how wonderful the agent is. They're doing your job, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, and I know, Sandee, you're really good at agent networking, and I wanted you to talk a little bit about how did you get started with your agent network, and how do you perpetuate it now?
I got invited into, a couple of things. I got invited because I coach with Buffini and I'm with Keller Williams. There aren't many, but it's kind of a unique group of agents that are Keller Williams and Buffini coached. And Keller Williams Family Reunion was in Las Vegas, and I partnered up with some other Keller Williams Buffini agents, and we hosted in an Irish pub, of course, a mixer for other Keller Williams Buffini agents. Mm-hmm. And it kind of started with that. So getting into relationship with those people, and then really just starting to be intentional when I went to those events. So instead of walking away with 100 business cards, I'm happy if I walked away with 10 and I remembered who you were and we had a great conversation. Mm-hmm. So from that, from doing things like this now, I'm very intentional about those relationships and about staying in touch. So we have a database of about 800 agents that I personally met and stayed in touch with. And like the agents, like the sphere of influence get a call once a quarter, so do the agents. They get that from me or from my assistant. Once a month, we send out an email of value. I usually send like a bonbon video where we'll share one of our playbooks. Hey, this is what we're doing, and this is the success we had with it, or these are the pop buys I'm sending this month, and I'll put in links for where you can get the pop buys and the cards, or just a message of encouragement, just staying in front of them to remind them that this is what I do, and then texts. I mean, we don't do really a 36 touch to the agents because I don't want to spam them and get deleted. But I think we try and touch the agents like 24 times a year. But I would say the main part of that is the phone call. And during COVID, who called you to see if you were okay? Well, I know I called you, but I mean, but people weren't doing that. I mean, were you getting a call from your bank manager to see how you were, or your financial advisor? Were they calling to see how you were doing? And we were calling our clients, right, to see how they were doing. Mm-hmm. And I realized during COVID that nobody had called me. And I realized that I'd sometimes had what I thought was a meaningful conversation with an agent, but I have this incredible memory, and not everybody has my incredible memory. So maybe they didn't remember that conversation. So, you know, it was just really, that's when I realized that I can do a better job of staying in front of these agent relationships that I have. And bringing value to them as well.
You have 800 people. That's very impressive in your database. How many agent referrals do you get just in a year?
50% of my business is agent referral.
Wow, that's fantastic. So you guys, this is one thing that Sandee does really well. I've actually only met one other agent who did this type of thing. Now that doesn't mean there aren't others, but there aren't very many, because I meet a lot of agents, you know. So yeah, so this is something that anybody can do, right? I mean, anybody.
Yeah.
And Sandee, what you're doing is you do some phone calls, you do some videos, you do some things of value throughout the year. And you said you try to touch them 24 times?
Yeah, so 12 emails, and then 4 phone calls, and I can't do math off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Text, you know, the text will be like, there'll be like a bulk text. But I make 2 of the phone calls, and there's always a lot of movement, right? Agents are moving to brokerages, so we want to make sure that we have that contact information up to date. A lot of people are putting their emails in the chat. I think the easiest thing for me to do is just to put mine in there, and you all email me, because what I will want is your full contact information, because I can't call you if I don't have your phone number, and I can't send you a note if I don't have your address. So, and when we do get those referrals, we have a little surprise and delight program for those agents too. So when we get a referral, we send them a pair of socks with the Union Jack on them.
Cute.
Because I'm British. And we send them a little thank you card that says, thank you for the referral. We're going to knock their socks off. And then they get the thing. And then when we keep them informed of the transaction through, we use a platform called Folio. So they can follow the transaction as we go along. Then they get a phone call at the end when, you know, hey, this is, or if it's a nurture, they'll get a phone call, hey, this is where I'm at with your referral. So we don't lose that. At the end, they'll get a phone call, hey, your referral closed, and they'll get the check. But then we also send a thank you gift. We have them fill out a little survey. My favorite thing to send to an agent is I ask them what their bucket list country is that they would like to go to. And then just on Amazon, I send them a travel guide for that country.
Cool.
I hope that inspires you to book your trip.
Oh, that is so great. Yeah. So it's so personal. Yeah.
Again, it's like you said, rewarding that behavior, right? I mean, they're going to get a check anyway. But like, how do I stand out besides they get a check, I did a great job, their client's happy, you know, how do I stand out besides that? So there's just a little couple of extra touches there that we do.
And one of the things I think we all have to realize is that you know, Sandee has a really great database. She has a really great organization. She has an assistant. Most agents don't have any of those. So it's up to us to keep in contact with them, even more than we might think. And most of the time, because of what you're doing, Sandee, I doubt anybody ever says, don't ever call me again, you know?
No, they don't. I mean, sometimes the agents will like rush you off the phone, you know, and honestly, if there's an agent in there and I'm like, I can't remember the last time we spoke, or I really don't feel like I'm in a relationship with them, then we'll clear them out.
Sure.
But you know, 9 times out of 10, you can say, who do you know in Tennessee? And I'll know someone, you know, because they've stayed top of my mind too. somebody had a question about a gifting vendor.
Vendors.
Yes, Holmes. No, I'm cheap. I like the dollar store. No, I don't have a gifting vendor. The socks come from, I order those in bulk, and then my assistant mails those out she works remotely, but she mails those out. And Amazon is where I gift the book from, so I can put a gift receipt in there, and I can send a email gift receipt as well. The pop buys, like I said, just whatever they are quarterly, and then I trying to keep them under like $3. I wasn't kidding when I said I'm cheap. So I have a large spread out area. So when I was newer and I didn't have a massive clientele, yes, I would do a lot more pop buys to fewer people, and I would do like Valentine's Day and Easter and blah blah blah. But if I'm doing 60 pop buys a quarter, I work the whole valley. I can't do that now, so I haven't broken down into like seven in this one area. So I can do about 7 a week. It takes me about 2 to 3 hours to do 7 because of the area that I'm covering.
Okay. So the last thing, unless we have chat things, but I wanted to ask you what you've learned. What are the mistakes that you've made that you said, I shouldn't have done that, or don't do this?
My biggest mistake was I hired an ISA that I paid up front, and he took off with $4,000 of my hard-earned money. That was my biggest mistake that I've made. And I think just knowing why you're doing something, do everything with intentionality. Why are you doing it? And so right now we're really focused on adding more people to our database. So we've been doing giveaways. Last year, I kind of was like, how do we make this even more efficient? So now we link our giveaways to the pop buy. So we run an ad for the giveaway on Facebook, where we're going to meet our have not mets, and they fill in a questionnaire that has some real estate questions. And then on the day of the giveaway, 2 days before, we call, we give them a raffle ticket number and blah, blah, blah. But now the pop buys are now linked with the giveaway. So we're giving away Vegas Golden Knights tickets in January. And we'll run that giveaway on Facebook and add more people to our database that way. But with our current clientele, my pop buy is going to be those stainless steel ice cubes. And on the back of the gift tag is a QR code that they can scan to enter the giveaway for the Golden Knights tickets. So just trying to make everything kind of work together now is where I'm at, to kind of streamline everything so it all has a purpose.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes all sense. And what I told you guys too is when I was promoting this, I said that I want to give you a little Christmas gift for showing up. So this is my Christmas gift. And this is something that and Sandee's agents do this. With different things, these little books. I love these little books. I love
that book.
So these little books are things that are taken from actually big ideas in up and running in 30 days, which is now in the 6th printing, which is the New Agents Business Start Plan. So in order to get one of these, I'm going to give away 10 of them. You have to email me your physical address. Okay, because these are hard copies, right? Your physical address, and tell me one thing that you're going to do to keep in contact with buyers and sellers or clients, whatever. The reason I want you to tell me this is I'm going to pick 10 and then I'm going to do an article or in a blog and I'll get it all back to you. But I know there's a whole lot of creativity here. Now, you don't even have to say it's yours. I mean, it can be anybody's, but something you're going to do. So all you have to do is email me, Carla@carlacross.com. But you got to email me your name, physical address, no POs, physical address, and the idea that you're going to use this next year to keep in contact with either buyers or sellers or clients. And then I'll put them all together in an article too. So we'll get more information. What did somebody say? Oh, yeah. And there's Sandee's. Okay. Sandee, give them yours too.
Yes, I put my email in there, my phone number. So I think it'll be just easier if people like email me and say, you know, we'd love to stay in touch. And I am never too busy for your Las Vegas and Henderson referrals. So keep me in mind. Start your own agent databases.
Sandee is always great because you guys, she always gets back to me. She never flakes or blows me off, which is always very impressionable.
I love talking to you. I love us.
We're musicians.
I love our story of how we met. So
yeah. Well, sometime too, Sandee, we'll have to kind of do a little musical thing together too.
Oh my gosh! Now there's
why not? We got to do that. You know. So closing comments, Sandee. What are your closing comments for us right now, and then we will close in just a sec.
I would say it doesn't have to be perfect. Just do something. Don't overthink the pop buys. Don't overthink the parties. Don't overthink the phone calls. I mean, do a little happy hour where you just buy the appetizers. One of the things I really enjoyed, and I think this started more after COVID, was that party we just had, that gratitude gathering we just had, was so nice because my clients were all connecting with each other and making new friendships. And I actually did a little tea party for just about 8 of my special ladies of a certain age group, let's say. And that's another thing that I want to do next year, is maybe do smaller groups of people that I feel might connect. You know, I have a lot of military moms. So I want to do a bounce, you know, the trampoline park thing. Maybe it's just a small event that costs me $300 or $400, but that they can connect and they can get into a relationship with each other too. So that I really enjoyed that last event we did, because it was like, oh, my new friends, and it's really cool. It's cool.
Awesome. Yes. So yeah, I think that Sandee, your advice is so great, because you know, being a musician, you as a musician, we know that the first time we do something isn't as good as it's going to get. What we know is we have to practice. We have to practice perfectly. We have to have a coach. We have to perform, and we keep getting better. So we just know that intrinsically and intuitively. We know it. But most people haven't had that experience. So the big message always is just start. Because when you start, you're going to find what suits you, but you can't find it by just listening to other people. You have to start, and then, like Sandee said, think, gosh, what's my next step? How can I make this better or different? And that's actually the fun of it, isn't it, Sandee? The fun of it's like evolving it all the time.
Yeah. And I think my other piece of advice would be like the other thing that we implemented just last year was those 6-week marketing meetings. Like, we have a yearly calendar that we map out, but then I'm always coming up with new ideas in the meantime. So like, we have like the big rocks, but like what are the other things look like, so that you're not left till the last minute. So if you're going to do a pie party, you need to start a month out inviting people to that with a save the date, a phone call, an invite. It's all about the touches. You know, if you invite 100 people, maybe I think we had 150 people invited. I think we had 70, maybe 60 turn up. And then we have like a 20% fallout. So I'm usually left with like a couple of extra pies. But, you know, I touched them like 4 times, whether they came to the party or not.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, that's right. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. They heard from me a lot.
Absolutely. And they know you care more than the commission, that you care about them and you're thinking about them and you're being creative. And what I love about what Sandee does too, and that's why I said create joy, is she creates fun and she creates relationships. And it sounds like, Sandee, for next year too, you're even going more toward relationships with small groups of people. So
yeah, I think next year we want to go deep in the relationships that we have and maybe do some of those smaller groups. I mean, like I say, we did the giveaways, which is casting a wide net and getting more people into our world. But like once they're in your world, what value can you bring to them? So like that we do through our Facebook groups. We also have I have one, but we have a VIP card. It's corporate. Maybe I'll do a video about that and send that out too. So it's a VIP card that all of our clients get that offers them discounts to Sherwin-Williams, to pizza, to Lowe's, to lots of different places. It's really cool. Cool. And then we pay $60 a month for that. But we actually invited some of our vendors to join us and they cover the cost of that too. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Sandee. That you have just been delightful again.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All of you guys.
Thank you to everybody who spent this past hour with you. I appreciate you giving up your time to join us. It means a lot. And stay in touch.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, and email Sandee your contact information. She will put you on the list. I promise you she will. Okay, and you guys have a wonderful holiday. It's been a pleasure to see a lot of you again and get to know you. And Sandee, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.